Hello comic fans, here's Earl Grey. Today I want to talk about this Absolute Batman edition. Generally speaking, the Absolutes are my favorite way of getting these Batman stories. This here is by no way essential, maybe just recommended if you're in for very goofy artwork. This contains the most goofy artwork, the goofiest artwork you have ever seen in Batman. And maybe that's for most of the viewers exactly the reason why to keep their fingers off this book here. I'm talking about Batman the Dark Knight Masterrace, part 3 of Frank Miller's epos. And most probably and most likely he should have kept it with The Dark Knight Returns, really masterwork, and what followed couldn't held any kind of candle to it, and it's not different with this here. I remember when the series came out, it was always exciting and interesting what people have to say about these books that were presented in different formats, and there was even a hardcover edition out, or maybe it's still available in I guess comic book size, and you could put it all in a slipcase, and all good and fine, but if you read the story here, it's really the question if all the stuff here deserves that. This is a bit random pick here, but you see already the very goofy artwork. But this is part of a mini comic. All these original comics were accompanied by mini comics, or as an addition, as a bonus. So you actually nothing to whine about, but really this is the totally goofy, and especially if the originally mini comic sized book is blown up to absolute size, it really looks like it was drawn on a napkin or some kind of sneeze tissue, and with pretty horrible computer coloring to top it all. But before I lose all my viewers, right there you have the main story here, drawn by Andy Kubert with inks by Klaus Janson, and this is your really usual classic Batman fare, with nods, more than just nods, to The Dark Knight Returns, with all these media reactions which are almost some kind of iconic to that story. And what really makes this story here, the main story, a bit special is the involvement of the rest of the DC universe. And here you can see Wonder Woman. And she has now a daughter with Superman. I didn't know that, but here's the brother of that daughter, Lara, and we will see Lara here going to visit her dad. And here you can see her dad, Superman, in ice. Visually, obviously a treat, like many pages here by Andy Kubert and Klaus Janson. And here you see the little city of Kandor, or all these Kryptonians that are in this bottle here, and they will play a huge role in the story. And there are spoilers, the big bad in the whole story. Literally, villains out of nowhere, just picked out of a glass, out of a jar, and which is pretty typically for the story here. It seems for many pages that Brian Azzarello and Frank Miller, who wrote the story here, haven't done much thinking, went for the first idea that came to their mind, and even the solution in the end, how do you fight Kryptonians? I mean, This takes not longer than one toilet sitting to come up with a solution you will be presented in the end. Sorry if this was already some kind of spoiler for you. I mean, I did like the art. I mean, you have both ends of the spectrum, the quite crisp and refined artwork by Kubert and Jensen, and the goofy artwork here by Frank Miller. And here we have a mini comic starring the Atom. And if you think this is goofy Batman art, you will see this is easily topped in the other mini comics as well. And yeah, I'm a guy who likes stuff like that, and who likes this Andy Kubert art as well, which is pretty different and very more precise than, to say the least. And I really did enjoy the all the nods to The Dark Knight Returns and Frank Miller's art. I mean, since he wrote it, he could say, yeah, do it like I would do it in Sin City or what. But this is really splendid. I feel all the interplay of light and shadow and all that stuff. This is really Frank Miller at its best, even if it is not drawn by him. And there is even some other, here you have the City of Candor there. I don't want to linger too much on the story, because I felt that I've already told you the whole story, even though there is Wonder Woman a bit, yeah, of an involvement here. By the way, this is the mini comic, a version of her drawn by Eduardo Risso. And really, this is the mini version of Eduardo Risso's art, because usually I really like his art, but here it looks a bit stiffer than it should be. But I'm looking for another pretty good. And here we see another piece by Frank Miller that was not drawn by Frank Miller, but by Kubert and Jensen. This huge hand here, this is obviously a trope of Frank Miller, or by Frank Miller, not to care about proportions, just to emphasize this huge man, oversized man, and here just look at comparison to her hands here and compare it. And we have lots of really impressive pages. I mean, the story is not so impressive. You have this, some guys with superpowers fighting, or not superpowers in the case of Batman, fighting these aliens, but little pieces like this here, the old Batman hammering the eyes of Superman's body with this grim expression on his face here. And look at that. That looks even Darwin Cookish to me here. Yeah, the art has really lots of fantastic moments. As to the story, you will scratch your head in the end and will ask yourself, maybe that's the reason why I don't read too many superhero comics, or just to try to limit myself to Batman stories, because of the relatively absence of superpowers. Because after this book you're filled with people that can just fly through the air. I mean, yeah. And here we have some of these very goofy, maybe this is one of the goofiest mini-comics. The breakdowns here were done by JR, and the finishes by Frank Miller. And believe me or not, I really enjoy this kind of stuff here, and the looseness and the sketchy quality of the stuff here. And these mini comic stories are somehow a part of the whole story plot. So They are not just nice mere editions, but I feel most of the readers cherish this kind of art more. And really, it's a good portrait, I think, of the late or the old Batman. So, just here we have the mini comic with Batgirl on the cover. Look at the villains here. It was just, yeah. Take just the first effort and publish it way and give it shiny colors here. So if you don't take all the stuff here too seriously, I think you can get some enjoyment out of it. It's not so bad as it seems, but don't expect to have some deep story or something. There's a pretty splendid bonus section with all these variant covers and extra pin-ups and stuff like this, since this was marketed like hell with I don't know how many different copies and stuff, and so they just could put in here everything that they have, and some stuff really looks amazing, and especially I like this drawing here by Frank Miller. So art-wise, this here really is a very fun package. Quite recommended, but story-wise, I really can't care less anymore about the old Batman, I have to say. I almost forgot to mention in this Absolute Edition, this story is included as well. Dark Knight Returns, The Last Crusade. Written by Frank Miller and Brian Azzarello as well, with pencils by J.R. and inks and colors by Peter Steigerwald. And yeah, looks pretty nice, I have to say. The art is not my biggest complaint with this story here, but it's totally not necessary, I think, to retell the last days of Jason Todd before he was murdered by the Joker. First, I got the impression that we have somehow still the very old Batman and a new coupling with the revived, resurrected Jason Todd. Please, even though I'm a Batman fan, I'm not so good with all the continuity stuff and what happened to Jason Todd when over all the timelines and such. But it's obviously just a retelling of a story that was already told before, decades ago, in Death of the Family. So yeah, not necessary at all, and I guess you have just judge for yourself if you want to have this tome here, which is pretty nice. I mean, this slick cover here is very vulnerable to all kinds of yeah, scratches or fingerprints, as you can see here, even though I really take good care of my books. But this actually looked pretty used right from the get-go. I don't know where this comes from here. I mean, I know where my slipcase here was damaged, thanks to Amazon. But yeah, who makes trades with the devil is punished. So I can't complain, actually. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.